Here's a palette. You can see how I set up colors, like in a rainbow way, from white, yellow, ochre, red, blue, green, like rainbow. So let's start. Today I will start with oil paint, not with charcoal as usual. I think it's not that much time, so I can straight away start with oil. So, it will be, in my case, portrait with hands. So, the first thing that we should do is to find the silhouette in a canvas to it to be in a optional way, not too big, not too small, and fit good in a format. So I will just try to find it. So at the beginning, just a silhouette without any details. Because this part with head and arms and the chest is more important for us, so I start from this. I start to looking from this silhouette in a format to find the better place for it. Because she's looking to the left, it's maybe better to fit her a bit more on the right side to have this space for her view. Засекли время? Засекли время, да? So the point is at the beginning, at this first step, is to thinking only about the position of the spot of the figure in a format, because you will have time after to work on like some other things like details or anything else. But this step really important, because if the composition will be from the beginning bad, it means that it doesn't matter how like good you will make details, it already will be not like perfect. So be careful with this and pay a lot of attention to this first step.
You could start with charcoal.
Yeah, of course. But then you will need to fix it with fixativo or with hairspray, which is also good. Usually I start with charcoal, but just because today is not that much time, so it doesn't matter with what I start.
Would it affect the painting if you don't fix?
What?
Would it affect the painting if you don't fix charcoal?
If I don't fix charcoal, it will mix with colors and it will be dirty everywhere. So hairspray is a good option to fix it because it's cheaper than fixativa, and I cannot say that it's worst. Maybe even better sometimes. So the second important part of this first step is movement. Like we're trying to find the correct movement of the figure first, then we will start to work on details also. This means that we need to compare all of those like elements inside to find the correct type of movement of the figure. So I'm comparing, for example, the position of hands and arms with the head, with jugular notch, with the body, tilt of the body to find this kind of her movement of her like character. If it's possible to say that. And you really don't need to rush on this step. Sometimes it's better to spend more time on this first step, just because of this depends, I don't know, maybe 50% of future painting.
How much percent?
It's not like, maybe 50, yeah. There was no research about this, but I think it's something like 50. Yeah. Yeah, let's start. So the second step is to find this like big color and tonal relationships, which means that we need big brushes, even like this, which you can find like not only in art shops but also in hardware stores, because they are like cheaper and sometimes also better, but only like flat ones because
Do you have a store here?
Yeah, it's next to the school.
Is it open today?
yeah, I think it's open.
Okay, it's inside the premise here?
No, it's down the street.
Yeah. So it's better to start from some, like, how to say, easiest of these colors, because for example the color of the skin somewhere is really complex, really hard to like understand. So it's maybe better to start from this like pink, gray, and this like white dress, because it's just easier, and it will be easier for us after to find the correct color and tone of all other.
So you start with the background first.
Yes.
And that helps you get the tone of the flesh.
Yes, because without environment around, it's really sometimes hard to understand on the canvas the real tone and color of the skin. For example, if I now will start to work on the skin to this white, and then I will add the background, it could change too, because one color depends of other colors. Yeah. So now I put a bit of this dark color because it's one of the darkest ones, and also it will help us to find the tone of a leather, like a anchor of dark. We can start first in a more like liquid way with more of turpentine or some medium, because in that case, after we will have more opportunities to work in different textures, because we already will have this kind of like liquid, and we can put on top something more pastels, and that's how we can get more of differences in textures. And also because it's easier if you will make a mistake to erase it, to cover it.
This one only turpentine or medium as well?
It's triple mix actually. It's triple mix of turpentine, linen oil, and damar varnish.
What was the third one?
Turpentine,
And listen to
oil, and damara varnish. Damara varnish. It's varnish for painting. Yeah. Oh, that. So start quite simple, because right now also not the detail is the more important, but the whole picture, the whole like amount of tones and different colors. It does not mean that we need just to cover it all with the same color. No, let it be a bit loose somewhere. Try to find a bit different shades. For example, somewhere I can see the colder shades, somewhere warmer. So we can make this kind of like soft transition, but not to. It's not time to start to work on all of those wrinkles. Just a first expression from this color in general. And looking on the silhouette, because we don't need to lose the silhouettes and the drawing we already found. It also doesn't mean that we need to be like too careful, trying to like do all of these like too careful things. No, be free, but do not lose it. So. Comparing different parts of the canvas, different corners of the canvas, because we have this gray here and gray here, but they are not the same, right? So it's better to straight away find this difference. Not only in tone, but also in temperature. Because if we will not make these like temperature differences, it all will be like from plastic, you know? So now we already have this kind of mix on a palette, mix of these gray ones. So it will be easier to us to find the next color, because just like straight on the palette, just nearby we can mix the pink one and see how they look together. Because if you will just look like this all the way, it's sometimes like harder than just to find them, bless you, on a palette. So another thing is new, like young artists sometimes trying to find the correct color just on a palette, and they mixing and mixing, and it goes to nowhere. But sometimes it's much easier to just mix something and try to put it on a canvas to see is it correct or not, instead of just like spending a lot of time mixing it on a palette. So, dress. Now we already have two. I mean, three, also black. But now we can find this dress in comparing, for example, with this gray. We can see that somewhere it's lighter. So let's try to find this kind of color. Also, we can see that in comparing with this pink one, with one of my eye looking on this pink one and another on this dress, I can see some kind of these greenish shades in it. So it would be interesting to show this. Because if we will look just only on a dress, we can see there like any colors. Like if I just look on a dress, I can see there yellow, green, somewhere pink. But if we will look on a whole setup in general, we will see the correct, how to say, relationships between these colors. So, about the dress, we can see there some light ones and some shadows. So we can straight away to start to looking also on this like shadow silhouette. It's not like real dark shadow, but yeah. Also to comparing it not only with this, but also with all others. So I can see that it's a bit darker than the background. Somewhere we can see clearly the silhouette of the dress, but somewhere it's almost like disappearing also because of the type of this fabric, this really soft type of the fabric. So here, for example, it's just disappearing the edge. So why not? We can do this, we can show this. It will help us to show this kind of texture of this fabric. And it's also really important because otherwise, if you will have everywhere the same type of edges, it will be like flat. At least flat. And also important part about like organization of work is that, as I can see, I use like different brushes for different colors. It helps me to keep the colors cleaner, because when I'm mixing some color, I really need just that type of color. I don't need to like to make it dirtier with the color which is inside the brush already. So here we have one more quite dark element, but because we already have hair, we can compare now these two different types of dark colors. And as we can see, for example, chair is warmer. It's not that obvious right now because I didn't add any cold ones in the hair right now. But we need to do this, right? To show these differences, and it works like everywhere. Even like we can see the skin, it's quite similar, but it's different everywhere. It's what makes painting alive, these like differences. So skin. Right now I think I can first try to find these shadows. Probably it will be easier after to find the correct tone of light ones. Wow. Trying also to compare them between each other to find some kind of differences too. Okay, skin. So, as I said before, we have here a lot of like different type of colors. For example, more of these pink ones on a face, something more greenish on a neck and on a chest, more dark tones here. So these differences we need to show too. So I try to find some like differences right now in the face. Not too much because we need to move next. Otherwise, without like all other elements, it could be messy. It could be too much of different shades. So by now it's better to leave it like in more like simple way to find all others. And to put the white on the palette. All of these like highlights inside, they doesn't matter because only thing we should to think about now it's compare the skin tones with environment. When it's wrong, we can just erase it. Now, it is important for us to find this kind of color contrasts. For example, we can see really warm contrast here, like this kind of green cold contrast here, the red contrast on the face. Because these contrasts are helping us to find this, like how to say.
How do you see those small hints of color that I don't see? Like you see green or blue. You say green, blue. I don't
Knowledge.
See green. How do you do that?
I mean, but now you see when I tell you.
I don't see any green or blue.
Here on the neck, these cold shades, like not the real green ones, like the real green is. But in comparing with face, you can see these cold shades on the neck, right? We're calling it like green, but it's not green at all. Just in comparing with all other skin shades, it's became for us green.
Can I go and get really close to the model? Is that okay?
What?
While I'm working, would it be okay if I go and get really close to the model to check?
I think yes.
She would be comfortable with that.
How close?
That's the point. Just like my.
I mean, to see these shades, you don't need to be too close. Because it's even better to have a distance to be like a bit unfocused, to see in general the whole picture, the whole setup, I mean. So as you can see, I still work more with the silhouette and less with details inside. But even right now, without all of those like details, if we will have the correct type of the silhouette, it already will be good from the distance. It means that the composition already will work. And everything that will left is to make details. Easy peasy. Just because sometimes young artist starts from details, which is totally incorrect because it will be just a mess. Even if you will take a look on some of old masters, for example, Caravaggio or Velázquez, for example, the first thing that you can see is the silhouette. Even if silhouette, compositional silhouette. Even if you are looking on a bad quality photo in internet, but you can understand that, yeah, it's a great master, it's Velázquez, because of this type of the movement in canvas. Understand? And only after this we can see details. We can see how there, here, these two colors, the background pink one, and the neck and the muscles of the back, like melting together between each other. And I find it quite interesting. So why not? We can show it on the canvas. Because somewhere we will have this type of contrast, sharp edges, but somewhere it means that we need to have something soft, something melting. What?
I mean, that it's the same tone, but the texture is different, right?
No, just because these colors are quite similar at some point and tones are, that's why we have there this kind of melting effect. This is what you should to see when you're looking at the setup or on your canvas. Like, yeah, it's quite like, how to say, soft here, but really sharp here. And it's important to show these differences. Let's maybe make a little break, just a small one. Okay, break.
Can I take a break?
Yeah, just 8 minutes.
10 minutes?
8, 10, yeah, something like
Put
that.
it here.
Oh, so because right now it's kind of like the same everywhere, I want to add some of contrast details, push more contrast somewhere, just to make it look finished. To cover some of these like white spots somewhere, for example, and to pronounce some of these details a bit more.
I have a question about color.
Yes.
You said that it's important to see the variation of
Yep.
different colors, but how do you decide if it's going to be more green or?
I just compare them between each other. I mean, I call it green, but it's not actual green. But when I compare it, for example, with some of those colors, warm colors on the face, or with pink, I can see this a bit of greenish shades on it. So it's just a name, green, but in general it's colder, just colder. You see this? Can you? It's sometimes at the beginning hard to see, but when you start to thinking about it more and more, with every new painting, you start to see these differences even better.
So it doesn't really matter what color it is, but more like what temperature it goes more to?
No, it's matter. It matters, yeah. It's more correct to say that they are different temperature because it's not green like in a way how we imagine green. But for the comfort we can call it greener. Also, maybe because I add to this mix a bit of emerald green to get this kind of cold shade. Some questions, maybe? Sorry? What? White? It's titanium white. It's, I think, the better type of white because with the zinc, how do you call it? Zinc, right? It's a bit too transparent, so it's sometimes too hard to cover some other colors with this. Also, it become transparent with time even more. So you can cover something with zinc white, and after 2 weeks it will get like absolutely transparent, and you will see like everything that was under. So
Titanium or something?
it's titanium. It's zinc. So it's better to use titanium. It's maybe like a bit more flat as white, like this kind of flat. Is it possible to say that white? But it's just easier and safer to work with this.
Or you could use zinc to glaze. It's transparent.
Yeah.
You mix it with alcohol.
It's actually is for glazing.
Zinc is for glazing.
Yeah. Yes.
There's in other schools there's like a function that when the form turns, that it goes cooler.
Sorry.
When the form turns, then it goes cooler.
Yeah.
Do you keep that in mind?
Yeah. It's a rule about that halftones are always colder than lights. This rule? Yeah, it's true. I keep it in my mind, but I'm trying to not to to keep it too much. Otherwise, I will. I don't know how to call. Mm, it's important to keep it in your mind, but not too. How to say? Not too much, because it could be like blue on every half tones. That's why. And it's more like for example, when you work on face, and it becomes too warm everywhere. It means that it's probably a problem not only of the main color of the face, but also of too warm halftones. In that case, you need to check this point. And also shadows are usually warmer than halftones, and highlights are colder than the main light. This kind of like cold highlight, warm light, cold midtone, and then warm shadow. So it goes like this way. Actually, we're done. So, in your canvases, big ones, try to move, try to do the same way. Like, this means that the format will be bigger, but the plan is totally the same. Start from like bigger ones, and then go to the smaller and smaller ones. Oopsie. So for the sketch, it's more than enough, I think. And I know that you all already want to start. So let's start.